What we tried to address was the best way for Medicare to use comparative effectiveness research results. And there's been a lot of focus on how it might use it for coverage. But coverage ends up being a relatively blunt policy tool. It's an on-off switch. And I think for that reason it's both been very controversial, and it really isn't a very effective way for Medicare to try to improve value. So what we wrote about was how instead Medicare should try to bridge the coverage decision with the price that it pays using the evidence of comparative clinical effectiveness. So the way this would work is that when Medicare decides to cover something new, it would need to make a determination based on the state of evidence at that time whether the new intervention, be it a drug or a procedure or device, is demonstrably better than what we can currently provide for patients. If it is, then we can retain the usually higher process of payment that Medicare has always done. If there's evidence that it's just as good but no better, then it seems logical to us that we should be able to pay about the same as what we currently pay for that same type of, again, treatment or test. And then there's this interesting middle category where if we don't have enough evidence to really know how it compares to what we currently do, we would probably want to give it the benefit of the doubt for a few number of years, during which time there would be an expectation that manufacturers or researchers would go out and get the evidence that we need to help know whether it is or isn't comparable or superior. And if it does turn out to be better, then we'll keep paying higher for it. But if it's not, or the evidence is never generated, then again it would drop back into a lower, or what many people call a reference pricing scheme. How this system grapples with subpopulations is a very important question. It needs to be sensitive to the fact that some interventions really do provide highly superior effectiveness for certain patient populations, but not for others. Now, Medicare has not had a lot of experience of trying to use diagnostic codes in its billing system to parse how it pays, but private employers are starting to do this, and we do think that there will be a roadmap going forward where Medicare, moving slowly, should be able to do that, but it's an absolute requirement that subpopulations be considered in this approach. The way that Medicare currently reimburses, and that's the term that is used, is highly structured by statute. And there are 19 different silos of ways that they pay for things currently. For something new like this to come along would require new legislation. It would require new acts of Congress to help guide how Medicare could do it. But we decided we wanted to put this out because we really do believe, whether it's Republicans or Democrats going forward, Medicare is on an unsustainable financial footing. We want to be able to use evidence. We want to be able to use it in a way that doesn't stifle innovation or really severely restrict access. So using it in this approach, I think, will be a tool that people will want to think about and start to weave into other attempts to try to modulate how Medicare currently pays. They're going to be looking at accountable care organization and global payment structures, other things as well. But I think they're going to, over time, need to figure out a way to use evidence in a more effective way to try to get higher value.